950, I think.
She's not going to be remote, is she?
Newburyport Hub.
Heather is not going to be remote. She is remote. I took it that way too.
Member of the council.
Okay.
I think they brought Mom. No, it's just
I
raining.
liked it. It's like low pressure after a long weekend. It's like yesterday was miserable.
I took the kids to Walmart. One brought $2, one brought $6, and one brought $9.
They could do a lot with
And an hour later, they each agreed to put $1 in to buy a bag of gum. And I had to put in 42 cents. And then they were like, "You can have a piece of gum." I was like, "Okay, thanks."
Man.
I mean, no, she.
That was really, yeah. Okay.
Come on.
Angel.
I don't have any bits either.
Fireworks just running out nicely.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd be happy to, Mr. President, for the meeting on May 28, 2024. Councillor Donahue.
Present.
Councillor Granis. Here. Councillor Harmon.
Here.
Councillor Khan.
Present.
Councillor Lane.
Here.
Councillor McCauley. Here. Councillor Preston.
Here.
Councillor Shan, for the record, is absent. Councillor Wright.
Here.
Councillor Zeed. Here. And Councillor Cameron. Here. With 10 present, 1 absent, we have a quorum. Pleased to report there are no late files.
Public comment.
So the first two might be from the last committee meeting.
So I think the Judy time.
Good evening, Judy Timon, 39 Lime Street. The first thing I want to do is thank my fellow members of the Zoning Advisory Group, and especially those councillors who served on that group to craft a draft of the MBTA Communities Act. And I especially want to thank our planning director, Andy Ford, for guiding us through that process. So I'm here to just urge you to take the next step and to vote to send this to the state for review. And in closing, to just thank you for all the work you do to make Newburyport a welcoming and diverse community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor's comment. Mayor, I think you.
Hi, Council President, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, hear you loud and clear.
I am coming to you all the way from Lower Atkinson. Everything's okay outside of town. Sorry I'm not here today. I'm trying to squeeze in the last couple of baseball games for my son this year. First, I'd like to say about Memorial Day yesterday, I want to thank all of you who came out. We ended up the last minute moving it inside, and it was absolutely the right call, and we really had a wonderful ceremony with a pretty packed house. So I want to thank Veterans Affairs Director Kevin Hunt for doing a really terrific job as usual, and we've had some great words from Senator Bruce Todd and Representative Shan as well. It's senior week here in Newburyport, so first of all, I want to say good luck to all of our graduating seniors. Graduation is Sunday, 11 a.m. Senior week is filled with a lot of different activities throughout the week. We have Vespers tonight, Ivy Day, Senior Sing-Out, prom, We'll have the senior coffee Saturday morning, and then we'll finish up with graduation on Sunday. It should be a fun week, and it looks like the weather's going to be great. We have a big meeting coming up on Thursday, May 30th, 1 p.m. at the DPS conference room on Mary Way. This is going to be the Board of Water Sewer Commissioners talking about setting the sewer rate, or their recommended rate that they'll eventually send on to the council. We sent our recommendations to them earlier this week. So we're looking forward to that conversation. Looks like it'll be sent to you in your June 10th packet. As you know, we've got a couple pretty significant projects coming up. So that's why we're looking at the rates in preparation of those projects, in particular the water meter replacement project that will be coming up first, and the Indian Hill pipeline project as well. So we look forward to having those conversations, and again, hearing the council talk about that at their later meeting in June. Also, in your packet tonight, you'll have the Public Art Committee, what they selected for their Public First Act as a committee. And this is the sculpture that will be displayed on Market Landing Park. They unanimously selected an artist from Portland, Maine, and it has like a maritime theme to it. So we look forward to you talking about that tonight. I want to commend the Public Art Committee coming together. I can't imagine it's easy to get a unanimous vote on a piece of art. It's going to be displayed in a very prominent part of town. But they did a great job, and we're looking forward. It really looks like a really dynamic piece, and it's going to be a great addition to that new renovated park that will be having a ribbon cutting for in the coming weeks. Also this week, Friday at the Senior Center, we're hosting a fire assessment center. This is for the lieutenants. Prospective lieutenants, we have a run-in current private in the Newburyport Fire Department. We'll go through this assessment. These assessments are really kind of dynamic ways to give real-world scenarios to prospective candidates or officers and see how they react, and they'll get assessed on those. Again, we have a good mix of the fire department right now as far as veterans and new people coming on board. So, we're anticipating some openings in the near future. This is great preparation for those who want to advance in their career. Thursday, we have another event coming up. This is the beach wheelchair that will be officially donated and accepted at that time. It's at the Plum Island Point at 4 p.m. on Thursday. This is getting donated to us by the Smile Mass organization, and SMILE stands for Small Miracles in Life Exist. This year was already accepted by the City Council last year, and now we're getting it ready here for the summer season. If you can make it up there then, that would be great for you to be a part of that ceremony at 4 o'clock on Plum Island Point. We had a really great employee appreciation event last week. This is the first time I had done something like this. I'm not sure if past administrations have done this, but we were able to secure a grant through Maya. And we had a really great event at the Senior Center. It was kind of a game team event, but it was just great. It was opened up to all city employees. It was just great to kind of get together, and it was just our way of saying thank you for all the great work that's being done across the city. And again, it was very well attended. I want to thank Nancy London for securing that grant, and of course Christine Jackson, who planned the entire event. We have a meeting with Mass DOT coming up. We're having a live virtual meeting on June 13th, so it's a few weeks away, but I just want to give you a heads up. This is the Mass DOT program around the project at Route 1 and Merrimack Street intersection. We just put that on the website, so if you're looking for more information, you have to register for that event. So it's up there on the website now. We got that up there today, but they're going to be talking about what they're proposing for right now in the spring 2027 pipeline. We're hoping that gets moved up, but again, design work has already happened on that project. Comcast renewal hearing, there's another thing coming up this week, Tuesday, June 4th, next week, Tuesday, June 4th at 7 p.m. at the Senior Center. This is just our time to go through that public hearing process with Comcast. I know we're looking for a lot of people at NCM Hub. There's so much for us here in the city as they're coming up tonight with your meeting. We're hoping we've got a lot of people in attendance to speak about all the great things NCM Hub does for our community. And then there's a couple more things. We have flyers coming up at the end of this week. We're excited about that. We're going to start with flag raising on Friday, 4 p.m. And then we have a flag parade at 12 o'clock on Saturday. And there's a host of other events on town, going around in town. So you can check out the Newburyport Flag Board's website, and you can find all the good things happening around the city. And that's about it. I'll take any questions you guys have.
Any questions, Councillor Donahue?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Can you just elaborate a little bit on the vibrancy event? Is that actually like going to be like a thing to come to, or like it was last year? It just doesn't seem as well. Right, no, I figured that much, but, I mean, is it, Fort Cox, so like, should we like be there? Like, is it going to be seats?
I would love to get as many people there as we can. It's pretty much going to be the same event we did last year. Obviously, we had a pretty high profile, some of the comments from the event last year, but we're still expecting for it to be a great event. And it's going to really set up Pride Month and Pride Week. And like I said, we'll set up for the Pride Parade on Saturday.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions for the mayor?
Any other questions about it? I reached out directly to the Pride Board.
Got it.
And like I said, they have their website, and they'll let you know what's going on for it.
Councillor Zede?
I just wanted to ask, Mayor, is there who's the city liaison on the Merrimack and Route 1 traffic light? My question, I guess, is how far is their responsibility in terms of their traffic study? Does it come to our downtown? Or who's the person on Newburyport who's sort of, we had this challenge with the bridge striping. So is it DPS? Is it planning? Is there anybody who's sort of on point with communicating with them that we could communicate with here locally?
Sure. So we kind of learned a little bit from the line strike thing last year. So we've actually been, I think, really ahead of this one. So we have Wayne, Amaral, and Jordy Vining are going to co-manage this project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lane?
In the breadth of the Merrimack Street at Route 1, has the overpasses or underpasses at Washington and High Street been addressed at all, or is that just tabled indefinitely until they crumble and fall?
Did you hear that, Mayor?
I couldn't hear you very well. That's not part of this project. If you're talking about the condition of those two bridges,
Yeah, that's on
that's something that
on the docket at all, or in the pipeline. I mean, to hear that the intersection slated for 2027, when are those two pieces going to happen?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know we've inquired about the condition of what those bridges are rated in the past. I think you can notice the last couple of years, the state is coming down with a lot of small bridge-directed grant programs and funding programs. These two bridges don't rise to the level of concern that we're thought of highly for those grants right now, those competitive grants. So, like I said, that's all the information I have on it right now.
Thank you.
They just made them compliant. They just half the traffic. They're no longer a problem.
That meeting would be a good opportunity, and make sure our state elected officials are there as well. All right, thank you, Councillor Lane. Any further questions, comments for the mayor? All right, hearing none, thank you, Mayor. Enjoy your game, and
All right, thanks. Have a good meeting.
thank you. Okay. So that would be moving to the consent agenda.
Which consists this evening of the approval of the May 13th minutes. There are a number of communications, applications for events. It's a Greek food festival, July 26th to the 28th. These are all going to license and permits. There's the Cultural Survival Arts Bazaar, July 20th to 21st. License and permits as well. And the annual Greater Newburyport Ovarian Cancer event, Sunday, 9/22. And the block party on Dove Street between Monroe and Merrimack, Saturday, August 3rd. We have two communications, the MBTA community's voting threshold and final unit capacity calculations to go to Public Planning and Development and Committee of the Whole, and Communication 555, which is the flash vote on the Recreation Center survey results to go to CS. No transfers. We have the following appointments. Brian Brunalt, 83 Garden Street, West Newbury, as a constable until 7/1/2027. That's a reappointment. We have two first appointments. Scott Clark, 40 Winter Street, as an alternate to the Historic Commission until 7/1/2027. And we have David Petto, 7 Orchard Street from Salem, as the IT director, going to general government. Following items are coming out of the respective committees: Budget and Finance. Orders 567, 568, transfer 193. License and permits, applications 193, 202, 203, communication 552. Public Works and Safety, order 564, 565, ordinance 169, communication 553, and order 571. And that would be the consent agenda this evening.
Motion to approve
Second.
and collectively to receive and file the mayor's update.
Okay, Councilor McCauley?
I'd like to remove communication 555.
Second.
Okay, so that's been removed. Otherwise, the motion on the tape. Councilor Khan?
Yeah, just a discussion of that for under the consent agenda. Can we also get the resume? It's not in our packet for the appointment for the IT director?
Yes, we are in process of getting that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda and also collectively the mayor's comment. All voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. All right, thank you. That's 10-0. And communication 555 was removed. Okay, moving to regular agenda.
Which I believe is next, Mr. President.
Communication 555.
Flash vote, survey results.
Motion, Councilor McCauley?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file this.
Second.
The reason that I rise to this is flash vote is a administrative tool, and while the administration's tool, and while I appreciate them wanting to share and publicize the information on this, the tool is to get direction. It's not binding, it's not driving policy, it's too generic. Scientific is a questionable term in terms of this firm that has a long history of some financial dealings. It's too random, and it's unsure if we're actually getting a full flavor of what our residents are actually thinking on this. So again, I appreciate the comment here, but I'm not really sure there's anything that we can digest or discuss or amend or anything like that. And I just think it's appreciated that they sent it to us, and just to move it along. Thank you.
Any further, and that was seconded. Councilor Preston?
Yeah, thank you. I wasn't necessarily anticipating this, but I anticipated saying the same thing in committee if it came to committee. So I have a long history of market research in my previous career, and this certainly does not rise to the level of being considered scientific or unbiased, in my opinion. While I think it is directional and lovely in that direction, I think it also goes in many different directions throughout the survey. So, you know, I would have no particular issue with receiving and filing this tonight. I think we've all seen it, we know it, we have it in our packets, it's information for us, but it's certainly not scientific. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Khan?
Yeah, I do also will support receive and filing, and I do want to add one more piece on it. As someone who, when I first came on the council, really did use SurveyMonkey to get where people were thinking about things, and I think I put some things on Facebook to do polling. There is some value to get some feedback and some mechanism. The one thing I'm going to say, and I hope the administration is listening to this, is if we want to do something like this correctly, there are ways to work. There's a science behind the questions and polls. I do that in my work with utility evaluation programs, where you want to see if someone really did install a certain energy efficient faucet aerator. Did they put it in? Did they use it? Did they know? There's a way and an art to questioning to get information that you could actually use for I work with regulatory utility commissions, and you do have a way to do surveys. The question I looked at, and I think the chief of staff knows that because I reached out saying, who wrote these questions? But if this is a tool to be used, I encourage that maybe we bring in some folks to figure out how to do it, how to actually word questions to not put in biases, because I do think it could be used, but it really does, now this is the third survey I've seen, and it really does need to be thought through a little bit more. So I just want to give that feedback. Thank you.
I think the administration is listening. You don't have to comment. I saw your ears perked. Thank you, Councillor Khan. Any further comment? Discussion? Okay, motion is to receive and file. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. All right, so that's 10-0. Thank you. Transfers? None. Second reading appointments? None. Orders?
First order is 572, which is the approval of the licensed contractor for roadway and sidewalk work, Land Pro Inc. out of Middleton, Mass.
Motion referred to Public Works and Safety.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to refer to Public Works and Safety. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Thank you. Order 573.
573 is a gift acceptance in the amount of $6,300.
Motion to refer 573, gift acceptance 6K for the utility vehicle, 574 gift acceptance for STEM scholarships 1,000, 575 revolving fund spending limits, and 576 revolving fund spending increase, and we could add committee of the whole to 75 and 76 to budget and finance. Second.
Okay, thank you. Motion made and seconded on all four of those, and it's a straight budget and finance. Any discussion?
And committee of the whole on 75 and 76.
On 75 and 76, okay. Okay, any discussion? Should we do a roll call on these? Just kind of the spending limits, kind of a little higher level than your average order.
I'm moving 573, 74, 75, and 76 to budget and finance with the addition of committee of the whole for 575 and 576. Councilor Dunn.
Yes.
Councilor Glennis. Yes. Councilor Hahn.
Yes.
Councilor Khan.
Yes.
Councilor Lane. Yes. Councilor McCauley.
Yes.
Councilor Preston.
Yes.
Councilor Wright.
Yes.
Councilor Z.
Yes.
Councilor Campbell.
Yes, thank you, Councilor Zede. So that's moving on to order 577.
577, which is the public art acceptance of the...
Motion for community services.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those saying no say nay. Okay, 10-0. Order 578.
which is the MBTA order confirming proposed submission to the
Motion
Congress.
for development committee of the whole.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Khan? Councillor McCauley?
Yeah, I know the sponsor, one of the sponsors is not here, but this is an important one to introduce as it's going into committee. And I do want folks to know that from, as someone who was on the zoning advisory committee, there has been no meeting on this since we had last met, I think it was almost 3 or 4 weeks ago. And so this is now, has not been in that realm, and I want folks to know this is now taking. It's not written in any format of a kind of a zoning change that will be coming before us later. Right now, this is giving the plan and providing that plan in a format, and I'm looking forward to the committee discussion on it, because I think the format of how we're asking for that this plan be approved or not approved is going to be an important piece. I also want to say there are some elements that I hope we talk about in committee, and a lot of those have to do with the dimensional requirements. There are certain components that were not discussed, and what we've done is, we referred to our existing 40R, but to me, there are some pieces that were kind of left, not really talked about in the zoning advisory committee. So I look forward to the planning and development committee, at least in this public realm, talking about what we're thinking of that, and see if there's anything we need to add into this before it does go for state approval. So even though I'm not a sponsor, I do want to let the public know that this is now going to planning and development for the MBTA communities kind of plan, so the public could pay attention and listen and
Sorry, I didn't know if you were going to say something.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you, but just, so Councillor Shan could not be here tonight, so I know Councillor Preston may be reporting out on this. I think procedurally, I had a discussion between myself and Chair Shan, Clerk, and Andy Port last week about how do we move to the next step, and I think the thought was to use the vehicles of the communications as a way to kind of move forward, and then in my mind I thought, well, communications, it's either a receive or file, it's not really an approval, so Director Port fashioned this order that gives us something actionable. The next planning and development is next Tuesday, the 4th, so it fits in with the timeline, and we agreed that that was the mechanism, but nothing's really changed since our last Planning and Development Committee of the whole, just in terms of all of it was kind of hashed out there. But to your point, yes, I think using it, so nothing has changed, but I think using it as an opportunity to communicate what we're doing. And this, again, assuming this is in committee Tuesday, perhaps approved then, and then back to us on our next meeting, then we stay on the timeline. That makes sense. Councilor McCauley?
Thank you, Council President. So thank you very much for the explanation. I was following along, and it made sense, and I'm glad that we could explain for those folks at home that we're trying to move this forward. One of the things I had suggested to the chair, and I'm not sure if the committee had looked at this or not, is that now might be the time to have a public hearing about this, and a joint public hearing as well, to educate the rest of the population of those people that are interested. There are many people interested. And I'm curious to see if the committee has actually taken that step, or if they're just going to have it within the committee itself along the way. That's the clarification I'm looking for. Thank you.
Councilor Preston?
Yeah, thanks. You guys are both doing a fantastic job of doing that reporting out for P&D tonight, and I appreciate it, because I just found out just before the meeting that Chair was not going to be here. So we actually already have it scheduled. It's scheduled for June 10th at 6 p.m., which actually occurs just before council. So it'll be here, and it'll give everyone the opportunity to be in that. So that will be, again, just for clarity's sake, it is the joint hearing between Planning and Development and the Planning Board. We had tried to schedule that for, I think, June 4th, which is our next P&D meeting. But unfortunately, the advertisements didn't get into the paper fast enough, and so we didn't have enough of that leeway. So that's why it's on the 10th.
I just want to say the joint hearing on the 10th is related to the zoning related to the community center. It's not related to. It's not related to, and Director Port's here. So yeah, that's on the zoning regarding the community center joint hearing, and again, in an attempt to kind of that's going to be before our full council meeting that night. We can talk about that momentarily, but this, in terms of public, I mean, my thought certainly can be discussed in Planning and Development on Tuesday regarding MBTA communities, but my thought would be have more of a public process when we're actually crafting the zoning. So, please.
If you did figure out a date that night, I will go through my phone before Planning and read out, and I'll let you know what the date is.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a final comment on that. I can appreciate us doing it closer. My thought process behind that was that although the state's going to look at it, we should know if we're, as a community, are going to get behind it before we submit it to the state, and we have time to actually make those adjustments and changes. Again, I think we're all cognizant of the calendar, and we don't want this to come down to maybe a contentious issue on the last calendar day that we meet. To be able to move that forward, right? No one likes to make decisions like that. So that was my thought process, but the committee will run.
Okay.
And thank you.
We're trying to fill in without Chair Shand here, but point taken. So I believe the motion on the floor is to send this to Planning and Development Committee of the Whole. Any further discussion? It's in order, so we can do a voice vote, I guess. Clerk is nodding. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. Okay, 10-0, thank you. Ordinances.
second reading of the amendment to Chapter 30 with respect to a handicap, crosswalk, handicap zone on Pleasant Street, moving it.
Motion approved on second reading.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, second reading, we'll do a roll call. Ordinance.
Roll call on approving ordinance 171. Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Grant? Yes. Councilor Harmon?
Yes.
Councilor Khan?
Yes.
Councilor Lane? Yes. Councilor McCollum?
Yes.
Councilor Preston?
Yes.
Councilor Wright?
Yes.
Councilor Z?
Yes.
And Councilor King?
Yes. Committee items. Budget and Finance.
Motion collectively to approve transfer 193, which is a long-term debt principal to elections, clerk dues, and clerk copier. Order 567, which is an $1,800 gift acceptance from Saltbox Financial. And Order 568, which is an acceptance of a $5,000 lithograph. Thank you for indulging the collective. Transfer 193, as I mentioned in the title, this is long-term debt principal. We've had a couple transfers from this account in recent meetings. The funding is available because really primarily of timing. Some debt wasn't taken on before the end of the fiscal year that was potentially anticipated at the beginning. I think we're station 2, so the money's available and we've transferred out a few times. Elections remain a bit elusive or challenging in terms of every aspect. I'm sure the court would agree. But financially here in this context, we continue to incur costs for elections, a lot of it due to changes in how elections are run in the last 3 years or so. And then we're also stuck in a bit of a timing loop where we expect some measure of reimbursement from the state, but it's not exactly something you can predict time-wise with any sort of sense of accuracy. So unfortunately, we will not be able to make do through, we won't be able to close a fiscal year without being in a deficit. So this transfer is needed. It does not mean that a reimbursement is not expected. We did a recent transfer like this, and that reimbursement is still expected. That is from the state. Whittier did, in a very timely fashion, I would say, remitted their $11,000 towards the special election that we had in January. Order 567 is Saltbox Financial. I think most folks are familiar with Jim McCarthy, who's doing a tremendous amount to the city, both in time and in this case financially. This is for 4 trees. They're going to be planted around the Bresnahan, where unfortunately some trees didn't quite make it there that were planted after that construction project was completed. Customary with the trees, it does include the water in the back set up for 2 years. And then finally, we have Order 568, which was a gift acceptance. We don't know a lot about the provenance of this, so maybe the clerk does. But in our meeting, it was walked out from the clerk's office, so it is a real thing. We saw it. It's a painting about this big, so this is not the size of a Corolla. It's something. And as far as where they might hang it, perhaps here in City Hall or otherwise, it's valued at around $5,000. The finance director stated that we do actually itemize our fine art on our insurance policy, and this would be added to it. It is actually quite cool, so perhaps you'll have a chance to see it. So those were the three, all three of them are 3-0. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any further discussion on those 3?
The second
Councillor Harmon. We can do a voice vote on this transfer. Yeah. In orders. Voice vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Okay, thank you.
So that's it for business tonight. I just want to update you on other happenings. So tomorrow we return back for our next budget workshop on planning and development, both budget and capital improvement plan. Because today is Tuesday, as a result of the holiday yesterday, our regular budget was pushed to next Monday. That's a regular budget meeting, not a workshop. So I'm intending to docket the revolving fund that came in tonight and the increase that came in tonight and a couple of gifts, and hopefully that will be it. Then we have more budget workshops next week. I did want to also let you know that 2 things. One is our next other regular sort of general business budget plans will be June 13th. And that's been on the calendar, and I'm intending to talk at that big capital transfer. So I've heard from different people there's interest in different parts of that. So I'm starting to get all the invitees to come. This is that $3.2 million transfer. I think it's 194 if memory reserves correctly. So please do come or send questions if you have questions. We nibbled that a little bit in budget, just on a couple of the basic ones. And then finally, you heard from the mayor that the water and sewer rates will be forthcoming as well. Obviously, I can't predict where they'll be referred to, but in the past, they've come up a budget, and sometimes they've also gone to public utilities, but those are also will be due by the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
So if they do come to budget, then I will keep you apprised of when we would hear that. If they don't, then obviously there's not going to be a That's it.
Thank you, Councillor Zede. Moving to community services.
Yes, thank you. We did not meet this past week, so we have nothing coming out of the committee at this time. However, our next meeting is on June 3rd, where we do have two waterfront trust appointments that we will handle, as well as the new Order 577, which is the acceptance of the public office. So please join us on June 3rd at 5 p.m. if you would wish.
Thank you. General government, I know several of you were here earlier, and nothing is coming out of committee right now. We will have continued discussion about Communication 550, the library and HR, and we'll also add the IT director appointment to our, probably our next committee meeting, because I think we're eager to do that. We did ask for a resume, so a good catch that it wasn't there. And I believe he was recruited and has a lot of municipal experience, and so he did not submit a resume. We sought him out somehow, but we'll learn all about that. So looking forward to evaluating that appointment. License and permits.
Thank you, Council President. We had a little bit of a snafu with the closing of City Hall on Thursday. So we conducted the meeting on my phone in the hallway. Yeah. The City Hall was locked. So we did have to put off a couple of items on our agenda, but we did get to the time-sensitive ones. So I'd like to make a motion to approve let's get the number. It's the right for Alzheimer's.
193.
193. Motion to approve. Second. So we did, this was the most time-sensitive one because the ride is occurring soon. It's a 100-mile bicycle ride that skirts through a portion of Newburyport. It's one that's been done before. The gentleman, Roger Mast, who's arranging it, had the same as in previous years, so there was no real issues as far as any changes. All the paperwork and insurance is in order, and it was voted out of committee with a 2-0 vote.
Okay. Any further discussion on application 193, Ride to End Alzheimer's New England? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Passes 10-0.
So application 203 is in the remaining committee. That's not until August, so we have some time to deal with that. There's also a communication from the fire department in regard to their annual Fill the Boot Drive in Market Square. I would entertain a motion to receive and file that communication.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to receive and file communication 552. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay. 10-0. Thank you.
And then I also would entertain a motion to receive and file the application 202, which was a follow-up from application 178 for the parklets. Thank you. The reason to receive and file it is that the issue has been resolved between the parties, and so there's no further action required by the City Council. So it'll fall back to the previously approved application 178.
Okay. Any discussion? Councilor McCauley? Okay. Any further discussion? Application 202, motion is to receive and file. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Point of order.
Yep.
Suggest that we motion application 203 back in the committee since it was taken up.
Okay.
Good point.
So I entertain a motion to place 203 back in committee.
Great. That's been made and seconded. Thank you. Nice catch. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Thank you.
I need to apologize, Council. I was in the senior center being appreciated as an employee.
No, we appreciate you.
And I work for you, and I'm in this chair. Sorry about that.
That's okay, no problem. We worked around it.
Okay. Planning and Development. Council Preston doing double duty.
Yes, thank you very much. Again, I will look to my colleague on committee, as well as Director Port, to help me with anything I may have missed. But we did meet back on the 21st of May, and our only agenda item at that time was to discuss the MBTA Community Zoning Act. And the communication specifically 540 to 549 that we received from Director Port around this. Director Port did let us know that the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission has certified the plan at 1,340 units, which is over the threshold of our target of 1,292 units. However, that certification, because there was discussion at our previous meeting around whether or not we could bring some of the units, and I don't have the exact addresses of those units, but bring those down to 3 stories as opposed to 4 stories, and essentially get closer to the threshold of 1292. MDPC came back and highly recommended that we do not do that. For 2 reasons. One, to give ourselves some cushion, as well as there may be some setback issues, most specifically around being able to create a bike lane through there. And so with those setbacks, it could also lower the number of units that we might be able to achieve in those properties, and therefore we may not meet the threshold. So they really recommended that we stay with 4 stories and 40 units per acre to keep that cushion so that we can be certain to move through the process without any major issues. I guess I would look to either my colleague or Director Port at this time to see if there's anything else that you wanted to share from the meeting, and then I'll talk about the meeting dates.
Director Port, you could unmute yourself. There you go. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Council Preston, Councilor President Cameron, for explaining the order earlier this evening, as well as the memorandum. The unit capacity is exactly as Council Preston indicated. We plan to submit that to the state, but I do think it would make sense to have what I would refer to as a confirmatory vote from the council. That is the sort of preferred method of satisfying the requirements, so we can submit that to the state for review. It was mentioned, I think, by Councilor Khan earlier that we could continue to discuss things like dimensions or setbacks and whatnot. Generally speaking, our current unit capacity is based on the existing 40R dimensional standards. Generally speaking, I'm assuming we would keep those the same, but there may be some other design standards we could improve upon. And so I think, to her point, we would be continuing those discussions over the next couple of months while we wait the state's review on unit capacity and the framework, and then return to the council and for the formal zoning hearing, which I think Councilor McCauley had alluded to in the fall. I'm happy to have whatever kind of other meeting the mayor or council may prefer for the general public between now and then. I know that we've had a series of meetings with various boards, including the zoning advisory group, that the council to date, but I'm happy to supplement that as we need. Thank you.
Council Preston?
Yeah, so the only other topic that we discussed in the meeting, which you've now all seen in a communication from Director Port, was whether or not we truly could pass this with a simple or a supermajority. Attorney North, who is no longer with us now, had several discussions with the director at the time. There were still some hanging chads, as we will, around that, but we did get the communication from Director Port that clearly states that in the opinion of Attorney North, we are able to pass this with a simple majority. So other than that, and unless there's something that my colleague would like to offer, the committee did vote to receive and file communications 540 and 549, which are the two communications that we do, well, we have in committee that are around the MBTA communities, with the notion of the fact that, as Director Port said, he was looking for some sort of confirmatory vote from the council. We discussed the fact that the communications that we have are not really actionable, and that led to the generation of Order 578, which we now see is going to be coming into committee as communication, as a committee as a whole as well. But so the action items coming out, or the action on the things in the docket was to receive and file communication 540 and 549.
Can you get some motion?
Oh, sorry, yes. Motion to
proceed.
I think there's a point of order here. I think there should be a motion to remove from committee item communication 549 and 540, and a subsequent motion to receive and file as well.
It wasn't in the consent agenda.
No, it was not.
No. Yeah.
So moved.
Okay, so the motion is to remove from committee communication 549 and 540
and receive
and receive and file. Okay. Yeah, but they need to be removed because they weren't in the consent agenda.
Yes.
Okay. Now we can vote. In their communications, we can do a voice vote. So collectively, receive and file communication 549 and 540. All those in favor, receiving and filing, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, thank you.
Okay, lastly is just, again, we are meeting on June 4th, where we will discuss Order 578, which is a new order that came into the packet, as well as we have an appointment for the planning board. And then, as already mentioned, on June 10th, immediately before council, we will have a joint planning board and P&D meeting around the zoning for the RYS Center at 59,000. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, in that zoning amendment, that is also committee of the whole when we do have that, as well as a joint hearing. All right, thank you, Councilor Preston. Councilor McCauley?
Yes, Public Works and Safety, we had a meeting last week, Monday. Motion to approve, motion to receive and file communication 553. Thanks. In this particular item, this is a communication from the mayor designating Mark Murray to perform the duties of city marshal since his retirement. It will begin May 11th, so he's already on the roll here. And this will be in parallel to the search committee that we set up not too long ago to be able to do that. And this appointment will be good for 90 days. The committee was 3-0 on this.
Okay. So motion made to receive and file communication 553. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay. Thank you.
Motion to approve Order 571. This is in order to allow a waiver for asphalt sidewalk on both Willow Ave and Mosley Ave. This is standard procedure as we have now, as we remind ourselves that we only have concrete as an option, brick as an alternative, but for any material other than that, a waiver needs to be requested. Came before committee, it was amended. The city council, and it was amended as such. The city council of the city of Newburyport hereby grants a waiver to use asphalt as an alternative material for the sidewalks located on Willow Ave and on Mosley Ave. And here's where the amendment was. On the north side from Mosley Place to the Rotary, where there is no existing sidewalk. So we're very clear about where this was. This had passed. We had multiple residents comment on it in committee, and the vote was 3-0 to approve.
Thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Harmon?
I just want to thank the chair for his help getting this through in the committee and amending it as he just described. This is a long-standing issue. It's a safety concern for residents along Mosley Ave, and the asphalt becomes an attractive option because of the location of some drainage that concrete would have been a permanent solution. Asphalt is a little less permanent and allows DPS some confidence that if there's an issue with that drainage, they'll be able to remove the asphalt to replace it. Likewise, long-standing concerns from Willow Ave residents on their unique setup in terms of sidewalk and a narrow, short street that gets a fair amount of traffic to and from a professional building. So in both cases, this is something that will be welcomed by residents in Ward 4 and addresses some issues that have been lingering. So I appreciate your support.
Thank you. Further discussion? This is in order. We can do a voice vote. All those in favor of, and I'm sorry, the action is approve, right? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Thank you.
Motion to approve ordinance 169. This is an ordinance change, a tweak of a parking fee permit. Specifically, this is to take the residential daily street permit visitor pass rate, which was $5 per day, and make it a $25 yearly permit fee. This was done at the request of the parking department. It went through the parking advisory committee. Many residents had commented that they have visitors and it's a pain to constantly try to update the visitor pass going forward. They felt that paying a one-time fee and updating simply the license plate number online was a much easier way to do it, and it probably is going to save them money in the long run. Along the way, we had multiple debates about this, about what was right and what was not. We concluded that 3-0 that we would approve the recommendations that came to us for an annual rate of $25.
Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, we will have a roll call.
It's a roll call on first reading for ordinance 169. Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Granis? Yes. Councilor Harmon?
Yes.
Councilor Con?
Yes.
Councilor Lane? Yes. Councilor McCauley?
Yes.
Councilor Preston?
Yes.
Councilor Wright?
Yes.
Councilor Z?
Yes.
And Councilor Campbell?
Yes.
Motion to approve collectively, unless someone disapproves of that, order 564 and 565. These two orders come in together. They are separate, but they do come in together. They are a lease agreement between the city and New England Development under their official name going forward. Order 564 is for 9 Titcomb Street. It is an area that is used today for parking. This is to formalize an agreement that really doesn't exist between the city and NED. I know in the documentation it refers to a 2019 agreement, but we did not approve that. So, and I doubt there's actually a copy of it, as many people had looked for. But this is basically the structure of it. They would like to charge us a fee to rent 9 Titcomb Street going forward. That fee would be $4,600 a year, and with the same conditions and restrictions on it at 90 Pleasant Street for $4,500 a year, both of which would be used for city employee parking. 9 Titcomb would be city employee parking, and 90 Pleasant may be contractor parking or things like that, but it would give us some options along the way. This came out as recommendation 3-0. I'm glad to answer any questions that people have.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Councilor Lane?
Is there going to be a special permit for that issue for parking? So the employees go and get a permit?
They have an employee parking permit that they have to purchase, and so those permits would be allowed in that lot only.
City employees?
Yes.
Okay. Councilor Z?
City employees,
Yes.
but they've never purchased those before, correct?
We're under the understanding that they purchased
employee, city employees?
Yes, the price needs to be set, to be quite honest.
So there need to be a price set if that's to be the case.
Yeah.
We would also need an order to make the other one, to add it to the list, the roster of public parking places, if it's intended to be used that way, and set a rate for that as well, correct?
True.
So the envision is to have a designated rate for city employee that may or may not be the same as the general employee rate.
Yes.
Councillor Lane.
Do we need to charge our employees parking, or can we
Well,
just...
the reason a permit would be a good thing is we have a digital system so that in order to enforce, we have people now from various businesses parking in that lot. They just go in.
Yeah, I just mean if we...
It's very easily enforced with permits, but we charge them, that's all. Fees, difficult, et cetera. Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? So motion made to collectively approve orders 564 and 565. Kind of feeling like this would be a roll call.
Approving 564, 565, Councilor Donahue.
Yes.
Councilor Brannis.
Yes.
Councilor Hahn.
Yes.
Councilor Khan.
Yes.
Councilor Lane. Yes. Councilor McCall.
Yes.
Councilor Preston.
Yes.
Councilor Wright.
Yes.
Councilor Z. Yes. Councilor Campbell.
Yes.
Council President, we have nothing further, but I just want to add a little chaos that we too are going to have a meeting on June 3rd that's been on the calendar for a while, and we're going to discuss the new trash. So stay tuned as we try to all jockey for appropriate times and dates along the way, which will probably happen over the next day or so. But we do have a time-sensitive matter in terms of the new trash contract, and we will be talking about that and the new ordinance 173, which defines the rules of trash going forward along the way. I'm sure it will be an exciting discussion and will be emotionally filled as people learn about the new rules and regulations of trash going forward. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Khan?
Yeah, sorry, and then may I ask the chair as well to give the update on the one that we did talk about regarding the, why am I forgetting? Oh, the Prince Place lot, and maybe when that will be talked about at the next meeting?
Sure. There was an ordinance 170, which we had spoken about, which Councilor Khan was the sponsor of, but we did talk about it, and there was some information that came about from the butters. We had asked for some flyering of cars and residents, and I think they did it twice, but on the second time they actually paid attention to it, and it was too close to the deadline along the way. A lot of good discussion going on with that. I could potentially add it into this. However, I need to meet with the parking clerk to find out what type of homework we've done over the last week or so to determine. There were some good questions brought by the abutters, very specific questions, and I'm not sure we have the answers to those yet. And if not, then we'll be in the next subsequent meeting going forward. And it's more because we want to be data-driven in this particular aspect, because the request is to restrict some timelines within that. And so we want to make sure that we have the accurate information. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor McCauley. Good of the order. Councilor Harmon.
Just wanted to take one more minute and reiterate how lovely it is, and my gratitude to the city and the Pride Board, the DEI Alliance. This weekend will be a lovely, much better weather than last year event, and I just want to encourage members of the public, members of this body to participate. There are any number of family-friendly, pet-friendly festivities to join in, and if you haven't been to a Pride before, they are all about love and acceptance and embracing just everyone. It's not just for the LGBT community. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any, Councilor Donahue?
we're actually, I'm so understanding that there's going to actually be a city council banner, I think. So I really do invite all the councilors to join us this year. For the record.
Okay, any more good of the order? Okay, so we are going to, I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session, looking telepathically to make sure I get the language right. And it will be a roll call. Okay, well, I'll make the motion. Yes, and the clerk so conveniently handed me the actual language. This is good. I did actually scribble it down. So I'm going to make a motion pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A1, and the purpose would be to discuss complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual relating to the open meeting law complaint filed by Owen Smith, and we will not be coming back out into open public session. So that's the motion, seconded by Councillor McCauley. We would do a roll call on this. Which do you have? You have the paper? You've got the paper, okay.
Roll call to go to executive session. Councilor Dunning?
Yes.
Councilor Granis? Yes. Councilor Harden?
Yes.
Councilor Khan?
Yes.
Councilor Lane? Yes. Councilor McCauley?
Yes.
Councilor Preston?
Yes.
Councilor White?
Yes.
Councilor Z? And Councilor Cameron?
Yes.
Mr. President, you might mention that we're not coming back out into...
And I did, that is part of the motion, and I'll reiterate, we are not coming back into public session. So we'll turn off all machines and see you all later.